Welcome back to the Bernie Kosar Show with Cleveland legend Bernie Kosar and the top dog, Hanford Dixon.
Bring it on, top dog.
Gentlemen, how are we? We're back in studio, and I think we got to kick it off with a little Jim Brown.
Yeah, Dave, Big Dave, that's a perfect way to start. An emotional weekend. Football season's back. Hall of Fame weekend. Browns played the Jets. Home opener from the preseason coming up. But everything really pales there in comparison to really what happened. It's a celebration of life with Jim Brown to start off this Hall of Fame weekend. Top dog, what an emotional, awesome celebration of his life in and around the home of football, the birthplace of football, Canton.
Boy, I tell you, they don't get any better than Jim Brown. I mean, just an awesome guy. I mean, obviously we know he's recognized for what he's done on the football field, and I don't know if there ever will be another Jim Brown. But Bernie, I didn't make it to the ceremony. I know you were there. Tell us a little bit about that, and some, who were some of the speakers and people that spoke at his ceremony.
As I look over at you and I see the genuine, emotion in your eyes there as guys like you and me who had a lot of battles on the field, but like to have a lot of fun off the field now and goofing around with it. The seriousness and the genuine emotion of it was spiritually so refreshing / awesome to be there from that perspective of it. To see almost a celebration of life from the Browns' perspective, the organization, generations of Browns players being there, then coupled with his enormous respect and admiration from around the country, and all of those Hall of Famers that showed up for that, on top of so many of the celebrities and dignitaries, and some of the stories that you learn that I could kind of ramble through, some of the amazing, great things that he did. But they played a video of they had 6 speakers, but they played a video that they had of myself up there just briefly that talked about me and Eric Metcalf, where 2 Super Bowls ago we went in. I think I told this a little bit of the story on the podcast before, but we had a police escort up to the Super Bowl, and it was so cool how Jim and his awesome wife Monique and was kind of almost coaching me and Matt up about some of the awesome things that he'd done. And so many of us know and have heard stories and have watched him highlights on the football field. So it goes without saying the awesomeness of him on the football field. But the things he did off the football field, the things he did for civil rights, for race relations, the summit that he had in Cleveland in 1967, that type of work was laid the groundwork to a lot of the things that we have happening today in our country in 2023. And unfortunately, 50 years ago, he started great work like this, and there's so much more still to be done. And him talking about the work that still needs to be done, and he was kind of talking about how good you are, how great Med is, and then some of the great stuff I'm doing in the communities. And he was almost like he was coaching us up to
pass the torch,
pass it forward, as we like to say and stuff. And he says that to probably a few people, but one of the things I really felt with him is how he was talking with us about us as the Browns and us as the Browns' next generation of players, us from the dog pound era, kind of carrying that forward. And a little bit me in particular, and I was talking with I was cool talking with Monique, and an emotional thing like this, and his son Eris and stuff, and we were sitting at the game on Thursday night at kind of in a moment to goof around, and I hope this comes across well on air, talking about it and stuff, and I hope I don't get emotional and it comes out levity and appropriate and stuff. But I'm joking with Jim, and we're talking about race relations. And what's great about the NFL in the locker room is, we don't see skin color. We
Right.
don't.
No.
It doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter in the huddle. Doesn't matter in the locker room and stuff. But in society, it really does. And Jim was one of the first guys to really attack that. So as he's kind of joking with us to kind of carry some of those messages forward, and he really kind of passed the mantle to guys like Ray Lewis and stuff. And that was what's awesome at the celebration of life the other day. But one of the things that all of us are kind of apostles, and all of us kind of have a mission and a part and a responsibility on this. So I was joking with Monique, and I said this on Aris and stuff. I go, Jim was busting my chops. So I said, I really appreciate you, kind of bestowing on me the mantle to carry your mission forward. So I'm handling all of the old white guys over 60, okay, that make sure they do donate, okay, and stop thinking about yourselves, okay, and donate to what Jim Brown's message was and what he's creating with America I Can in inner city. So that brought a little bit of levity up as the old white guy in the group.
I tell you, and that sounds just like Jim. But you know what I can hear him say? He always used to say, he'll walk around, and I could see him the way, he walks. He walks so slow, but he's got that distinguished walk, and he's like, "Hey, Hanford, you all right, man? You all right?" I said, "Yeah, Jim, I'm fine." And then I'll tell you a story, Bernie. I played golf with Jim, and then finally after the round, I told Jim I wasn't playing golf with him anymore because let me tell you why. Because throughout the round of golf, I always have to take Jim's ball, put it on the tee for him, and get it ready for him to hit. But Jim was a pretty good golfer too now. I mean,
he's a great golfer.
Man,
he was damn competitive and everything. Yeah.
I mean, we sit here and we laugh and we talk about him, but Jim was an athlete above all athletes. I mean, some of lacrosse.
They changed the rules of lacrosse
because
nobody can get the ball out of his stick and stuff.
Yeah, and not only that, let's think about it. Here's a guy left the game of football, Bernie, and at the top of his career to pursue his acting career, and he's a pretty damn good actor too.
Yes, he set the world ablaze by being the first African American to get a chance to kiss Raquel Welch on air. So,
and Jim, we're gonna say this to you: you are going to be missed. We love you. And I tell you what, when you think about the Cleveland Browns, we think of Jim Brown.
His spirit and presence is absolutely around us. And to seeing Monique and his family and how awesome the whole celebration was, it makes you proud to be a Cleveland Brown and following his legacy.
All right, let's get out of there because you're going to make. I mean,
we're
mess around. We're going to have nothing but tears.
That was well said. Hey, let's move on from that.
Isn't this when you're
another.
Supposed to take like that TV break, like that segment break to like pretend like the tears aren't like cranking out here?
Let's go to another great.
Hey, wait, yes. I'll do an emotional change right there and say that in that same weekend time frame, the awesome Joe Thomas getting inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and for me to have a full spectrum of Thomases going into the Hall of Fame this weekend with the great Zach Thomas starting off the induction ceremonies on Saturday, and then highlighted by Joe Thomas finishing it off at the end to kind of see a combination of my career, bluntly, to see a teammate of mine who was a rookie my last year go in, and then see Joe Thomas and see the Cleveland fans there and how awesome he handled himself in that environment, and seeing him getting his new home in Canton made that for a special weekend.
Yeah, what I liked about it too, I mean, it was just outstanding. Obviously, his wife was there and his 4 kids, and how he made them a part of the entire celebration. And it was just a fulfilled weekend. And again, congratulations, Joe. Well deserved. I mean, to play as many games as he played in a row, what was it like? The number was just, it was crazy number, but to play over 1,800 games, something like that. I don't know what
13,000
whatever, something
a
like
lot.
that. All we know is some crazy number. But to be able to do that without not being injured where you had to miss a game, he was able to just play every single game. And Bernie, not only that, look how many coaches this guy played for. What, 6 or 7 coaches, and he only had a winning season on his first year with the Browns. Other than that, they had a losing season each and every year.
Yeah, I'm digressing to the awesomeness of his streak of 13,000 plus plays. To not miss a single play, to not miss a single game, to not miss a single series, that in itself is awesome in itself. And I actually think of the violence of football, the competition down in the heat of the battle down there, not taking a punch to the face, a headbutt, to where you get knocked out, a little concussed a little bit, to where you have to take a mandatory play off, to not have that at all happen to him. Over his whole duration of his career, to get 13,000 snaps in there. He absolutely has a tougher chin than Tim Anderson does after Hosey hit him the other day, because Mr. One Punch.
You brought that up.
I didn't work that in, my man.
My
You know that.
goodness. Can you believe that?
Guys, do we need to introduce fighting in baseball NHL style? Because this was the most talked about thing this was so good for baseball, in my opinion.
Well, you know what happened? The reason why? Because normally we talk about a fight with baseball. It's all talk. These guys, they talk and everybody clears the benches. They show up and they act like they're going to fight, but they never fight. This was a fight. Jose Ramirez. Did he clock him with the right there?
Hey, that's full contact right there.
And Anderson act like he wanted some more. He didn't want any of that smoke. He can say what he wanted to say.
Hey, that wasn't a standing 8 count. That was a standing 80 count. Home slice was wobbling.
You know what? Anderson was kind of like me. Guys, if you ever see me in a fight or about to get in a fight, I'm going to act like I want to fight, but I really don't want to fight. So I want you guys to kind of, just jump in front and hold me back, act like you're holding me back or something like that. That's the way it looked. He didn't want any part of Jose Ramirez. That was, I'm glad you brought that one up. Because,
Jose got some reach now. Jose One Punch Ramirez, okay? And not that he needed any more reason for us to love him, okay? And kids, that ain't what you need to do, okay? That's not what you need to do. But, Jose's got special rules, okay? And that was awesome to see him handle that the other day.
Well, Bernie, I have to tell you, this thing is getting ready to get real with us here pretty soon. We had a little preseason game last week, and the preseason really starts this week. And before we know it, we'll be back into this thing. I want to ask you, though, about this kid. I mean, obviously, to me, you look at who's supposed to be our third-string quarterback. For me, for some reason, I was looking in his eyes, and I just didn't see it. But this one kid came out there, what is it, Thompson?
Dorian
Thompson Robinson.
I tell you what, from UCLA, the kid we drafted in the 5th round, this kid, he looked like Bernie, I mean, he just got that look, and I thought he played well.
Well, DTR, I got a chance to meet a little bit in mini camp and stuff from UCLA, and was highly, highly impressed with him as a young man and stuff. I fixated on your statement about you saw Kelly Mond's eyes the other day in the game. I was at the game, and I think there was 20,000 people there, and there was not one person there that did not get an autograph. So the only eyes I saw was the person right in front of me asking for a selfie and an autograph.
You going on?
God, it's amazing. Top dog. I saw 0 plays
in
the game.
You big dog.
What's your strategy with that? When a bunch of adults come up to you,
it was the people are awesome.
Listen to this.
Of the people, it's amazing how awesome they are. But you don't see the game. So I could see why I get fired from my post-game analysis. You don't see any of it.
But you got to listen to this. This kid was 8 for 11 for 82 yards. I think he rushed for 36 yards. He had 1 touchdown. He had 1 touchdown. I mean, this kid.
I ended up seeing the game on tape afterwards.
He looked like he belonged, Bernie.
Yes.
He looked like he belonged.
And so he looked like he belonged. I like, Josh Dobbs didn't play. He has the playoff games from Tennessee behind him as last year. One of the things And I actually spent yesterday with the Parma Browns backers. Jenny, give a shout out to you. God bless you and stuff. But I was, and I'm talking about leadership because your quarterback and Dorian Thompson looked for a rookie, and to your statement, like he looked like he belonged, which is kind of a simple statement. Yeah, a pro guy should look like he belongs, but look, we're all trying to assimilate in and pretend like we belong, even in the pros. And a rookie quarterback and a rookie player, no matter how cool he is trying to look like he belongs and stuff. And that's comes down to a lot of leadership and stuff. And I think our team and what I'm thinking about from the game and what kind of came out of it is who's going to be the leaders, what's the leadership of it, Coach Stefanski in the leadership of it, Deshaun Watson in the leadership of it, Myles Garrett and how that leadership perspective emulates to the other players and to that locker room in particular, because it was off a little bit last year. And we talked about it earlier in the podcast season that Deshaun Watson being suspended last year didn't have all off-season and all training camp because we knew he wasn't starting in September, October for us last year. So it was hard to develop that leadership.
Right.
And this year he's able to and stuff. And I was with them at the Browns backers in Parma yesterday. The old secretary, the acting secretary of the Navy, Thomas Motley, Cleveland guy, who has come up with his book Vectors and it talks about leadership and stuff. And one of the things I talk about is how you do little things is how you do all things. And Tom, when he was the acting secretary of the Navy, he would say, "I'm not acting. It's not acting. It's not pretending." And acting, not pretending. How you do little things is how you do all things. And when I saw Dorian Thompson the other day, man, seeing a young rookie like that, having that leadership, looking like he belongs, his attention to detail, how he did the little things in there. Now, granted, one of the things Coach Stefanski did exceptional from his leadership perspective that Tom Motley pointed out to me in his Vectors book, which I got to give him a shout out for that.
Absolutely.
Anybody who is the acting secretary of the Navy, who could do
big time.
I will listen to him on leadership and stuff, especially during a tricky part in our country with the COVID virus going on, with him being working under then President Trump, and all the ramifications that goes with that. So learning about leadership, I think there's a good guy that I'm a good pupil of to it. And he's pointing out too that a younger people, like he watched the game the other day too, and seeing like Dorian have that attention to detail, acting like he belongs, just like Coach Stefanski tried to do it last year a lot with Schwartz, getting him assimilated into the game. There's a lot of kind of check downs, screen plays, simple throws the other day to allow you to be 8 for 11 in that game. And I think that helps build the confidence for a young quarterback. And I give a shout out to Coach Stefanski for kind of building his confidence also to help him along the way feel like he belongs.
Well, you talked about Schwartz. I mean, I kind of felt bad for him because here's a kid. I mean, we're looking for big things out of him. I mean, he's got a lot of speed, but he didn't help himself. But Bernard, you hit it right on the head when you talked about this football team. This is going to be a football team with a lot of depth. I mean, it's at a lot of positions. One of the positions obviously is running back. That's what made Kareem Hunt expendable with this football team. I mean, we had another kid that I thought who was our fourth-string running back. I'm looking at him as our fourth-string. He's probably going to move up a little bit. This kid, John Kelly Jr., I mean, he just jumped out there, and he's a guy that, we talk about.
And he got drafted.
Yeah, we talk about in the preseason, especially these type of game, watching the tape and who jumps out at you at the tape. He's a guy that jumped out at us. But, BK, this thing is getting ready to start. I mean, this football team, I tell you what, there's no reason why this football team is not built the way it's built right now to win and to win right now.
Hey, Hanford, you mentioned a lot of depth. Our buddy Cade York.
Oh.
What are we going to do? Well, I'm a huge Cade York fan, friend of the show. He comes on the shows. He's a great guy. Right when that miss went up, we're like, oh, boy.
Hey, could I chime in his defense? I want it. I want this.
I think you're gonna do it.
I
anyway.
want this for him, man. Okay.
Yes.
As an addict on the win, an obsessive guy who obsesses on the win, I am in on Cade York. Okay. The pressure of that is one thing, but the assimilation of the football field in November and December and January, you just can't replicate it at this point in the year and in other situations and stuff. So I wouldn't overly make too much of it right now. All kickers that come into our stadium, every kicker last year, the Tucker in Baltimore, the Bengals kicker, and the Steelers kicker, they all missed a kick in Cleveland Stadium last year. And that's Tucker, the Hall of Fame. You know, he has a mantle next to Jesus Christ up there, okay? So, and he missed a kick. So let's not crucify Cade right now and make him start overthinking now in August. We know kickers are fragile, and they got to hit a streak. And
hey, Dave, tell Bernie we wasn't in Cleveland Stadium when he missed.
I know.
We were down in Canton. we were in Canton when he missed that one.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? To cut all jokes aside, I'm not ready to give up on the kid yet. I'm not ready to give up on him. I think there's a lot of talent. There's some reason. I mean, because normally you don't spend a draft choice on a kicker, but we did, and he's here, and I'm not ready to give up on him. I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna be okay.
I love how you said it, and again, not overly to over defense him like he's my son and stuff. Okay, but I guarantee you, whoever the kicker is will miss a kick. Okay, in December and January, it's almost physically impossible to hit them all, no matter who you are at that point in the season. So it's a little early for that. But, you know, one of the things I was thinking about, too, to your QB question, to your running back question, because there's, with depth of that, with this much depth, you're probably going to see probably a couple quarterbacks on the team.
Yeah.
And what you're hearing about, like Nick Chubb playing possibly 3 downs and stuff now and playing on 3rd down and getting used to it. And I see him in some of the highlights catching more balls, and, you know, Nick's, you know, working on his hands, which is a correlation that
we
probably
Kareem Hunt would normally come in and
right.
Yeah.
In the previous year's systems, pre-Deshaun Watson, we were for sure a running team, not shotgunned, not 3 and 4 receivers on 1st and 2nd down. I have a feeling that to incorporate more Nick Chubb, and to incorporate more Deshaun Watson and the spread, the stuff that Deshaun does good, we'll probably see more 3 and 4 receivers on the 3rd down for sure. But because that's Deshaun and what he's done in his past really good, we'll probably have those on 1st and 2nd down at times too, which means if Nick Chubb's not in part of that 3rd down 2-minute package, he could be kind of not in that 1st and 2nd down. So I actually think him being part of all 3 downs could open up the offense to where we're doing more spread offense on earlier downs because Nick Chubb's more attuned to that now.
And guys, I have to say this, and again, we're gonna start getting into a lot more of this in the players, and now that we're gonna be on pretty much every week, I like the kid we drafted in the 3rd round, the kid out of Tennessee. The wide receiver Cedric Tillman. Man, let me tell you something. I don't think he's really, really fast, but he's not slow. But Bernie, as big as he is, and when that ball's in the air, he's got the mentality that it belongs to me. He's got great hands. He go and get it, and I think this guy is gonna. I can't wait to see him play when it really, really counts, because he's playing extreme. This kid, I watched him in the SEC coming out of Tennessee, and he was a player then, and obviously he's a player now. But we all know Jimmy loves that. Talk about Haslem, but they have that background back with that back in Tennessee. You know, I guarantee you. You can say what you want to say, but when we hooked that pick, we had Jimmy in mind. You know.
Well, the added bonus, and I'm not trying to be an ownership suck up, okay? But I also love that he's almost 6'3" and super size and super speed. So that type of guy, I obsess on in the We say the red zone. Coach Shula, Don Shula, the great Don Shula, called it the green zone, the money zone. A big guy like that, if he can work on his releases and his hands and his quickness, he should be able to dominate in the red zone catching fades.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Can't wait. And we got more football this Friday. Let's get into the open drive. All right, so we have Friday football in Cleveland, Ohio. Commanders. By the way, they're talking about changing the name again. Did you see that?
But that's what I was wondering. Is this going to be the last time we face them as the Commanders? You know,
Who knows?
yeah.
Who knows?
New ownership. You know, who knows what's going to happen over there?
That's right. So Bernie,
Yeah, we do know what's going to happen. They're going to be changes. They're going to whack a lot of people, man. And I love Ron Rivera, okay? So he's one of the class guys. But when new big paper comes in, it changes.
yeah. So I think the biggest headline with this is Deshaun Watson. Bernie, if you were Coach Stefanski and you were managing Deshaun Watson's minutes in preseason, how would you go about that for a guy who looked a little slow when he got back, hadn't really played football since 2020? What would your advice be to Coach Stefanski?
I think Coach Stefanski probably doesn't overly need the advice because he looks like he's the type of coach that has a rapport with his quarterback or has the rapport with Deshaun. And I would actually be asking Deshaun, how do you think you feel? And seeing what his mindset is for it. Now, if the coaches asked me when they asked me of that, my mindset was to play way more than less. Okay, so I wanted to play more because I wanted the timing and I wanted to be out there and get the feel for it. So I needed sometimes coaches to protect me from me. Okay, Hanford, top dog, on a couple of podcasts ago, so astutely pointed out that us players sometimes must be protected from ourselves. So I'm hoping Deshaun wants to play, and he's telling Coach Stefanski, I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. That is optimal, and now Coach Stefanski has to decide how good have they looked and in camp, how good has he looked, and then for that to see what's the amount of plays to do that. Now, there's things you could actually do in the game that could massively make it pretty, nothing's fail-safe, but it's pretty damn easy to make sure you don't get hurt. Mm-hmm. And you saw that at the start of the Browns game Thursday night against the Jets. You could do draws, screens, checkdowns, motions, and shifts, and trick them and do 10 plays that I could still do as a senior citizen and stuff. So that's something that you could do also. I kind of wanted, though, it was a different mindset for me. So if I'm Deshaun, I'd want to throw one deep ball. And it's not a complex one. Just drop back, throw, have somebody run down and fire it. And that's that. But protect you from yourself.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth, and that's where I was headed before you said that. As players, we have to be protected. But what I would do is, say, for instance, if this was me in the preseason with 4 preseason games, this game coming up, I would want to play I would want to play a quarter. I would want to play at least a quarter. That's what I would want to do, just to get in the field for a regular season, just like the game is full-time playing in a regular season game. Okay, then what will happen is the second preseason game, I want to increase that a little bit. And I know these guys today, they're not going to do this, but this is just me.
Yeah, go over. This is a good schedule.
Yeah,
this is our schedule.
yeah.
The old school guys.
Yeah.
Hit them with it.
The second game, I would want to play at least 2 quarters. I want to play 2 quarters because, see, follow me, Dave, where I'm going with this. I want to build up getting ready for the season. Third preseason game.
And young people out there and young coaches, listen to what top dog's saying. And the third one's imperative.
Yeah. The third one, boy, you're talking about now, we're getting ready to play. So I want to play at least 3 quarters because I want to get that feel at halftime, going in for halftime, coming back on the field, playing a little bit. Because now it's time to go. It's time to roll, baby. we got to get this thing. We got to get this thing going. But I know they're not gonna play them like this because again, the coaches today, they're so afraid, and I understand where they're coming from, Bernie. They're so afraid of one of these athletes, their top athletes, getting hurt or something. And again, I get it, but me personally, I wanted to increase it and be ready to go.
Well, Hanford, I know that Martin Emerson wants to play at least 2-3 quarters a game because he's trying to move up your power rank.
I like him.
Yeah,
I like him.
Well, you know
him.
because you've got to be in that first month of the season in September. I would be mortified that I would cramp in my right arm in the fourth quarter or top dog cramping, in his legs. And flat out, rest assured, old quarterbacks look for weak links, in early in the season because through the course of that first month of the year, I could find out, top dog, who's tired out there, who's tired, who's sucking air, and I'll blast into a 2-minute drill. And again, this is you pick on that guy, and there's guys that end up losing games because they're not in shape and they can't handle it. So you got to play that. You got to play that risk reward of it.
Yeah. So our friends at Tipico have the Browns as a 1.5-point favorite in the preseason. 38.5 is the over/under. Are we getting some points in this game?
Oh, God.
How do you predict the preseason?
Yeah. You ask the coach who's playing. If the starters are playing, as it looks like ours are, And one of the things with the Commanders is that's actually a pretty gifted team. That's one of the deepest defensive front fours in the NFL. So this is absolutely a good game to get them. Their defense actually not playing too much. And you want to be careful with Deshaun if it's their ones against our ones.
Yeah.
If it's our ones,
boy,
their D-line isn't playing.
Their D-line is tough, too.
Right, but if their D-line isn't playing because they're scholarshiped in and they don't want them to get hurt, which could conceivably happen, that actually could be a really good kind of practice game for our offense to have our number ones going against their second-team defensive line. I'd love that as practice.
But I like that 1.5. I like that.
Preseason line.
Hey, I'm going. I don't care. I like that. The Browns. I would take that.
Looking all serious over there. Okay.
Let's put a bow on this. We are back to weekly. Let's wrap it up. Anything 2-minute warning that you guys want to end with today?
You know what? I just want to go back to Jim Brown a little bit. I just want to go back to him and. Again, great celebration. I wasn't there, but I pretty much know what happened. Talked to Bernie, talked to a lot of people that was there. My understanding, Ray Lewis was one of the guys that
Ray Lewis.
That was a speaker, BK.
Yes. You know what? Ray Lewis and his awesomeness. I know as Browns fans, we're going to jump and go through 8 different sideways jokes on it. What Ray Lewis is doing, and what Ray Lewis is going through with the death of his son. I've been fixated. I'm trying to get into the health and wellness part of this show, of this opiate issue and things that have happened with the overdose deaths in our country right now. And Ray was affected by this, like a lot of families are, and lost his 28-year-old son last month. So that's stuff that me and him work on and we're working together with. But what Jim's and Ray have put together and how Ray articulated that just beautiful message under the duress of his personal pain right now was just exceptional. It was just exceptional. And, it was an awesome weekend. I love you, Joe Thomas. I got to give you a massive shout out and stuff. But, what's happened with Jim Brown and the awesome glow that he's spread on so many of us has absolutely been so telling.
Bernie, I want to say this. Jim is gone, but we still have guys like Paul Warfield that is still here and still
Paul
around.
Warfield, one of the great Browns of all time, one of the great Miami Dolphins of all time. It was a spiritual journey for me this weekend. To see Paul Warfield as one of the great Dolphins and one of the great Browns of all time, for me to have ended my career in Miami and have Zach Thomas, the great O.J. McDuffie up here, who caught my last pass from as a Miami Dolphin who's from Hawkins High School, and to have an amazing picture with me and Juice and Paul Warfield, and to have Paul imparting his wisdom on us like Jim Brown imparted his wisdom on me and Eric Metcalf and stuff was, oh, God bless. God bless.
Well,
I'm
And
so blessed.
don't sell your guys short. We still have you two.
Well,
Come on now.
we're here, but we're just talking. But what I want to say, congratulations again to Joe Thomas. And guys, we're getting ready to crank this thing up. We're getting ready to crank this show up, Bernie. We're getting ready to go, baby. Good show, though.
Let's
People,
go,
people
man.
are watching.
Good
People are
show, big
watching.
dog.
God bless you, buddy. Top dog. You matter.